then Houndmastered after the fact to play around, you know, swipe plus wrath plus hero power. That was a pretty good play. So, you know, he's on his game, he's on point, he's fired up, his hair looks great, he's ready to go.
Yeah, and we are getting into the second game of this series. Pavel versus Georgec. Pavel is 1-0 up. It's going to be Pavel on the TempoMage versus Georgec's Shaman, which is the mid-range variant because no one plays aggro anymore.
Yeah, the Rock Biter's gone, and so is the aggro. But TempoMage, not a deck we've seen too much in the tournament thus far, and quite an interesting deck.
Yeah, especially there's a few ways this can be built as well. We saw, you know, the power of the Kabbalist tome list when Dr. Tippy recently won with that. But Pavel's actually gone for a different variant. He's gone for the 2 summoners as well, which is interesting.
He's gone the full tempo. He's not even, he doesn't have as much value in it as much so as he has minions. Like a lot of tempo mages cut water elemental and they run, you know, either 1 or 0 faceless summoners. He's got double water elemental, double faceless summoner. He's looking to just play minions on curve and smack people in the face. It's a very aggressive sort of approach to tempo mage, and even tops it off with a Ragnaros at the top end.
Yeah, just taking a large selection of really solid minions. Like it continues to surprise me when I see some tempo mage lists where water elemental doesn't make the cut, because I feel like just the card itself is just so powerful in general, especially with how dominant weapon classes are at the moment. You can just lock weapon classes out pretty hard with that card. But
Shaman is a weapon class that's very, very popular. All 8 players playing it.
I've heard that is a popular class.
Is very popular in the tournament as well, and even Rogue on the rise of popularity. So yeah, a lot of the classes people bringing have weapons, and it's a pretty good call.
You run into the Pirate Warrior sometimes.
Even the Pirate Warrior. So a pretty aggressive approach here by Pavel, coining out the summoner here. It's a risk. Like a lot of times you can get blown out of the water by even just a totem golem buffing the tunnel trog to be able to trade up, and he's rewarded for this risk. You saw him debating it. Well. You know, he's thinking about potentially holding back on it, but does end up going for it, and it's absolutely huge here. And now he's going to be able to develop the Cult Sorcerer and maybe even Arcane Missiles down the opponent's minion if he wants to.
Yeah, I like it because if you get the missiles and kill off the Thanos, it means the Sorceress is just slightly more safe, which means your next turn, no matter what your opponent plays, you're going to Flame Waker and just do like ridiculous things with the Arcane Blast and just get so much more value combined with the spell power as well. And just set up a really strong board that Georgec is probably going to struggle to deal with.
Yeah, and I like getting the Cult Sorcerer on the field, especially since it's unlikely for your opponent to have Maelstrom Portal at this point, because they did just kind of drop the Thalnos out there. The one thing you really got to worry about is Storm. TempoMage not really minion dense a lot of the times, and you know, even though Pavel's version is a little bit more minion dense than other versions, still getting blown out by a Storm here can be really detrimental to your progress forward in the match if you just top deck spells. And wow, all 4 missiles went to the face there, and now he's forced to, you know, kind of waste resources here. He has to use the Arcane Blast to try and protect his Sorcerer's Apprentice.
That was so unlikely to happen. Those missiles just wanted to go face and go aggressive. They should have been in a Hunter deck, in my opinion, but it's not completely terrible for Pavel. He did have the backup option. It wasn't great that he had to use it, of course. He would have much preferred to use it with the Flame Waker next turn, or even just later on in general, so you normally get the spell power value, but having the backup mean he could still clear the board.
Yeah, I mean, imagine in a world where he didn't have to use it, he'd just play Flame Waker here and then Arcane Blast the Totem and go
He would just win.
Yeah, but still, you know, the backup plan, not too bad. Arcane Intellect coming off the top to kind of fill out his curve here. He's still got the Frostbolt to be able to clear the Totem Golem if he wants. He could potentially save the Frostbolt for face damage, but I like just using it here to fill out the curve and, you know, being able to fill in Arcane Blast with the Flame Waker just in case your Sorcerer's Apprentice dies and you kind of clunks up your turn for the next one.
Yeah, I agree. The flexibility of the Arcane Blast feels better to save, especially because even if there's not a great target for it next turn, the power of that combined with any spell damage minion is huge. You just 1 mana deal 4 damage is incredible.
It's such a good tempo swing, and you know, tempo swings are pretty good in TempoMage.
Yeah, that seems correct. So this is an interesting one here. I just Frostbolt is kind of it can be kind of great later on, maybe even to stall out the Spirit Claws, but this just feels too clean. And you know, Pavel did end up going for it, and I like that he's taking his time. There's no rush apart from the turn timer in general, which you know everyone's used to, but there's no rush to, you know, really go out for a quick play. Just can fully think about every single turn as we said. You know, if you win this game, you win this match. Sorry, you go on to the finals, which is huge.
Yeah, TempoMage, such a great deck for right now. Like, so many players are teching in Harrison Jones in all of their decks to kind of help deal with Shaman. You know, they have it in the Druids, they have it in their own Shamans, and You know, a lot of decks are getting kind of greedier to deal with the greed of the warriors. A lot of people are playing Hunter, and TempoMage kind of just really punishes people that are a little too greedy, especially aggressive variants of the TempoMage, and that's what we're seeing happen right now as
yeah, and look
Pavel
at this, I love it.
Do so much damage.
This is the power of Flame Waker when you can weave in some spells. And this Apprentice, MVP,
Yeah.
been on the board forever. And this is just game over for Georgec, because we can see that maybe not next turn, but at worst the turn after, he can just Violence Portal straight through the Shaman's